So I'm Lauren, and I'm from Needham, Massachusetts. My junior year of high school, my high school had this thing, Needham is no place for hate month. It was this big, talking about racism and classism and blah, 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 and it was like a big month of it. And then at the very end, we had this make a statement assembly where, there were speakers and there was going to be a panel. And the panel was mostly kids talking about racism and a little bit classism, sort of, and things like that. And my GSA advisor at a GSA meeting was like, I think someone from GSA should speak and talk about homophobia. And I was like, we all kind of were like, are you kidding me? And then I was like, okay, if no one else volunteers, I guess I'll do it. Everyone's watching, the entire high school, all in the gym. And so, there I am, and there's a bunch of people who go before me talking about Needham High and its racial issues, which there were plenty of because it was the suburbs. And then I get up and I introduce myself to the entire high school and just tell everyone I'm a lesbian. And then I started talking about how accepting my friends were and how they gave me, being able to have friends who accepted me so readily just allowed me to have the courage to be able to stand up and say that I was gay to the whole school. And as soon as I said that my friends were so important to me, a couple of my friends just started cheering. They were like, yeah, Lauren. And then the whole school followed and they just all stood up and started clapping. And it was just unbelievable, standing ovation. And the thing running through my mind is, I'm not finished yet. Part of what I was, one of the things I said towards the end was that when I came out, I didn't have anyone to sort of take as an example. I didn't know anyone else who was gay, especially not anyone who was already out. And so I kind of thought that it would have been a lot easier. I mean, it was already fairly easy, but it would have been so nice to have had someone who just had been through it and knew what, was going on, and could have given me just not even advice, but just been yeah, I know how it feels. And so I said, if anyone is going through this, you shouldn't have to go through it alone. Find me, send me an email, find me on Facebook. Talk to me. I'm here. I thought there were probably going to be a few people out there who were pissed or upset or offended or just homophobic, and so I was like, I can't believe I'm putting myself out there for the entire school to rip apart. And then at the very end of my speech, I got another standing ovation. And this is my high school. This is what I come from.
So I'm Julia. I'm from upstate New York, Niskayuna, which is right outside of Albany, and I am a senior here at IU studying gender studies, French, and linguistics.
And I'm Melissa. I'm from St. John, Indiana, the northwest corner of Indiana. I'm a senior and I'm studying English.
I met a girl who I became involved with, and it really took me by surprise, and it was with her that I started to realize that, okay, maybe being with another female is actually an option for me. I had a really bad experience with this person, and we don't talk anymore, and it was just an awful experience. But in the end, it really, opened this door that I really hadn't expected. For a while, I was trying to figure out, what does this mean? I was trying to explain it to my family. My family kept asking, my mom, are you bi now or are you gay now? You've always been interested in this gay stuff, but I thought you were straight. And after having established myself as an ally, it was really hard to explain this to people, and it still is. But Melissa and I met each other last year, or we had met each other a while ago, but last year we re-met each other, and she said, what would you think about being in a relationship with me? And I was like, what?
She turned beet red, and it was one of those moments where I thought I was I wonder if anyone else is in the, because the tables are super close to each other, so I was sort of wondering, is this gonna turn into something horrible, or is she just gonna tell me no and walk out? And you ended up sort of like all of this like came out, like all the explaining of like I don't know if I'm ready for this.
I was just really anxious at the time, and you know, Melissa really gave me so much space and so much patience, and something that I just wouldn't expect from a lot of people. Like, you were just really patient, and you just said, you know, I'm here and we'll see where this goes, and I just felt comfortable with you. We just have such a low stress relationship. Like, we're both stressed out about things, especially now with school and everything, but like, we don't really put that much pressure on each other, and I don't feel like I'm stepping on eggshells with her, and that's what made it okay for me to explore this, you know? Again, like, I didn't expect her to be that. I don't think that I could have handled that, to have said, like, you know, I'll just see where you go, I'm here, I'll be strong. But she let me do that, and it worked out, and I'm really happy where we are now.
My name is Crystal Cornish from Washington, D.C. I grew up in a Christian, household, both parents. I remember being very young and having, feelings about, classmates or, girls that I knew and friends. And it wasn't until I was maybe 20 that I really realized, 19, 20, that I really started to feel more comfortable with myself. When I was about 21, there was a friend, it was actually someone that I dated previously, but he and I were still friends, and he outed me to my mom. I shared with him, things that I was feeling, and he just couldn't understand and wrap his head around, what it was that attracted me to, women, and not him, because that was the real issue. And so I guess in a last attempt, he brought my mother into it, I suppose, because I guess maybe he felt like she would turn me around and turn me straight. To me, I was really robbed of, the opportunity to share that with her, because she and I had always had not an awkward relationship. Maybe when I was younger, we were really, really close. And of course, as most teenagers, they go through a phase where, no one can really tell them anything. So there was a bit of distance between my mom and I, and we were just really beginning to work on kind of, mending our relationship. And, this came about, and it completely, we stopped speaking for quite a few months. Because I didn't share it with her, I think that was the most hurtful piece for her. So there was some trust that was lost. And like I said, we were just kind of getting that back. But, over the years, I've been able to become more open with her, about not just myself or my relationships, but I've been able to share more about me, because that really, even though I didn't have the opportunity to share with her, it really opened the door for me to be able to share other things with her, because we were at a point where there was really no turning back after that, and I feel like I can say anything to her now.
My name is Gina Bonica, and I'm from Levittown, New York. And I guess that if I was to talk about a moment where being part of the LGBT community really affected me, it was this really exciting time in my life. And my sister had just gotten engaged about 6 months before then. And I'd been with my partner for about 2.5, 3 years now. And I was all excited, and I came to my mom, and I was like, Mom, I'm going to ask Irene to marry me. And she looked at me, and this moment I was like, okay, she's going to give me that same excited look that she gave when Laura got engaged. And she looked at me with this helplessness, and I remember seeing in her face, it was like this, she took like a deep breath, and she said, okay, we're going to deal with this. I felt like I got the wind knocked out of me. I came to my mom to tell her about this really exciting moment in my life where I realized that I found the person that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. It was in that moment that I realized that the people that are closest to me, and even people that I don't know, will always look at what I have as less than. So that I would never be married, I would be like married. And I would never have a marriage, I would have something like a marriage. And that's just not good enough. I had a friend of mine last year, she was dying from breast cancer. And she and her partner had
Great. My name is Shara Day. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's pretty much where I spent most of my days, as a kid, as an adolescent. So I'd like to tell you a story that kind of framed who I am as a person and gave me insight, and a better insight into who I wanted to be. So I was very aware that I was gay, and I already came out to quite a few friends. I was out in school and things along those lines, but I'd never had a girlfriend. But I guess in the meantime, I needed to get a little bit of strength and power and courage up. Inconveniently, I was looking through the Daily News, and the Daily News had a little spec about the attic being, I think, hosted or created by Carrie Jacobs at the time. So it was in Center City. I was already familiar with the city because I went to, a local school. And it really was at the attic, in the attic of Voyage House on Lombard Street. So I had to climb up 4 flights of stairs. It was getting hotter and hotter with every flight. It was absolutely sweltering because it was the summertime. And I looked around, there were only 4 other kids, and they're roughly my age, 14 to 15. I think maybe one was a little older. And it was just a handful of us, and everything was so quiet, and I was just like, oh, everyone's gonna hear me. Everyone's gonna hear me, my name, like, what am I gonna say? And Carrie immediately said, how do you identify? And I went, what does that mean? Identify, what do you mean? My name. And she said, no, how do you identify? Are you gay, lesbian, bisexual? And I was like, huh? What do you, gay, bisexual. No, and then I kind of whispered, lesbian. You know, I don't know why the word was harder to say than gay, but it was a lot harder to say than gay, you know, or bisexual. So I said lesbian, gay, and she just knelt by me very carefully and very gently and said, it's really good to have pride in who you are. And when you say it, maybe, you know, project a little bit more. Feel it, feel pride in it. And at first I of course I said, oh, I'm lesbian, you know, that moment. But walking home after the meeting was over, I met everyone, I really had to think about it. That night, I went to go see my girlfriend, not really girlfriend, soon to be, possibly. I'll tell you that later. So as I walk in to talk to her, it was very quiet, and we had just decided to kind of pull off into a corner by ourselves so her parents wouldn't hear. I had my courage up, and I felt a part of the community, and I thought, you know, I'm part of the gay community, I'm feeling stronger about who I am, I'm going to open up and offer this to her as well, and maybe this is something we could do together. And we sat down, we were comfortable, I was comfortable, she looked at me, we, you know, said that we proclaimed our love for one another, and I told her that I thought I was bisexual, but I'm gay. And her mother came out, and I didn't see her mother, so her mother actually listened to the entire conversation and decided after that that I was a gay threat of some sort. I was, you know, the gay agenda had now co-opted her daughter. So I had no idea. I went off, you know, skipping off into the, you know, into my wonderful imagination of what we're going to do now as a couple. And when I got home, my neighbor called, who was also a mutual friend of Alice and myself, and she said, you have to get over here, everyone's here. If the whole neighborhood's in the kitchen talking about how you told Alice that you were gay and that you wanted to be her girlfriend. So the whole neighborhood was there in the kitchen. And I was infuriated. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. I was absolutely infuriated because I felt as though my rights had been, you know, trampled upon. My rights have been, you know, absolutely encroached upon by people who didn't know me. People who only knew me from knowing little Shara. And they still thought it was okay to take, you know, who I was and make it into something else. So I decided I was going to go speak for myself. I took that courage that, you know, Carrie helped me find and locate, and I went to the house and I approached all of the adults in the kitchen and asked them to look at me and look at who I am and let them know that they should be ashamed of themselves. If they have a question, to ask me. I'm a lesbian and I'm a proud lesbian, and that moment I realized that being able to say that out loud, being able to say that I was a lesbian and to say it with pride and conviction and strength and with a smile on my face. And I remember walking away and feeling as though I really did. I empowered myself, but I also took away their ability to then weaken me by defining who I was. And I understood why it was so important to go back and think about Carrie's words and say it's really important to have real strength and pride and say who you are and identify with pride.
Hey, so to all my straight friends out there, think about the way you feel when you're really into somebody. You know, maybe it makes you feel kind of nervous, or maybe you're really excited, or maybe it makes you have butterflies in your stomach. Whatever you're feeling, totally natural, right? Now imagine if someone came and told you that what you're feeling is wrong. That would be wrong. So why should we make anybody else feel that way? Isn't dating complicated enough without worrying about what everybody else thinks? Maybe you're straight, maybe you're gay, maybe you're somewhere in between. Whatever you are, it's cool. Doesn't matter. Just be you. That's good enough for us. We're girls talking to girls about girls who like girls and guys who like guys.